If you're just joining us, I am Sarah. I work with these amazing animals 5 days a week. Right now, they are not really cooperating on eating. Well, they were a little earlier, but this bird right here, that little girl, her name is Whatever, and she really holds up to her name. She can be quite picky with her fish. She only eats these smaller fish here, capelin. We offer our birds 2 types of fish, herring and capelin. Wally is being a good boy and eating his capelin, but Whatever has decided that she only wanted to eat 1 out of the probably 10 that I offered her. This is a slower time of the year for our birds in terms of diet. So they kind of slow down and then they bulk right back up prior to laying eggs. This is the beginning of our breeding season for our Magellanic penguins. It's our 7th breeding season on exhibit. We have had 13 chicks hatch here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. So this is what she likes to do. She likes to kind of sort the capelin until she finds the right one. But sometimes what you can do is offer the bird next to her a fish, and that kind of sometimes starts her appetite. Aha, it worked that time. So I gave Wally a capelin, and now I'm giving Whatever capelin, and now she's had 2. Let's go for 3, 4, 5. And that was pretty good. Sometimes it just takes her a second to get hungry. So now she's had 6 capelin. That's a little bit better. These birds get offered food 2 to 3 times a day. And as soon as everyone's done eating, I'm going to see if they're interested in nesting material. Can't promise that they're going to start building their nests right now. They're a little, they started building them on Wednesday. We gave them their palm fronds, their nesting material. But it's just the beginning. So usually what happens in their natural habitat is the males will arrive 3 weeks prior to the females. They'll build a nest. They'll find a safe place to do that. And then the females will arrive and lay their eggs shortly after that. Here comes Floyd. So Floyd is one of our best nest builders. He's actually had 7 out of the 13 chicks with Roxy. So I'm going to offer him a fish, and if he turns that fish down, I'm going to assume that he wants palm fronds. So it looks like everybody's done eating. If you guys have a chance, definitely stick around this habitat. It's pretty cool to watch them build their nests. I give them the nesting material, but they actually do all of the work. And if you're wondering what I'm writing down, I do log every single fish that our birds eat. It's a really good way to keep track of their own health care. I guess Floyd was hungry. He still might want palm fronds too. So we'll see. If not, if the birds don't take them, I'm just going to put a couple around the habitat. That's an example over there. Looks like those have stayed since yesterday. So I think our birds are kind of in a settlement period. They're not super interested in building that nest. They just kind of want to defend that territory. Our birds do live in the same nest if they are paired up, except Fisher. He is our bachelor. He actually has a bachelor pad. This is Fisher right here. His bachelor pad is back there. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, all these 9 holes, they all have kennels attached to the other side, and there are modified burrows for our birds. Magellanic penguins are a burrowing species. So I'm going to go ahead and put this fish away, and I will come back out with their nesting material. right? Floyd basically told me, no, I don't really want that right now. So I'm going to leave some of it here in the middle of the habitat. Breeding season is really important, not only for our birds that are paired up because they lay eggs, but it's also important for our youngsters. So if you take a look on deck right next to me here, we have all three of our juvenile or subadult penguins. This little lady right here is Dee. She was named after Dr. D. Boersma, who studies Magellanic penguins in their natural habitat and has gotten their breeding breeding habitats protected. There's about 2 million Magellanic penguins out there, so they're near threatened. We thought it was a nice name to name her after Dr. D. Boersma, so that was the one we picked. This little lady right here, her name is Cleopatra. And then right over here we have Wally. Wally is Roxy and Floyd's 7th chick, and Dee is their 6th chick. So out of the 13 chicks that have hatched here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, 7 out of the 13 are Roxy and Floyd chicks. That's why I thought Floyd would really want that nesting material, but he doesn't seem to be too interested in it right now. Our birds are actually taking advantage of the sunshine and relaxing and guarding their habitat. Magellanic penguins are a member of the banded penguin family, along with the African Humboldt and Galapagos penguin. They're actually a temperate species of penguin that doesn't need ice or snow. Fisher's about to learn why he doesn't stand in front of Robbie's burrow. Oh, Robbie's just going to ignore him. So these guys do have an interesting social dynamic. There isn't really one penguin that's in charge. But there is one penguin that likes to try to eat at the bucket first every time. That would be Lily. Also Gats, he likes to try to steal fish out of the bucket. But some of our birds are a little bit more bold than others. Since they only breed one time out of the year, their hormones are really working right now. And they know they have to defend their territory. So you're going to start to see little arguments between our birds. If you want to see what that looks like, it looks like Fisher and Robbie are having a little bit of a disagreement over here. This is actually Robbie's burrow with Patsy. Patsy might already be in that burrow. Fisher's burrow is behind the door over here. Or not behind the door, right in front of the door. So these guys do mate for life. Once they find that mate, they don't leave that mate until maybe that mate passes away or doesn't return to breeding season. But here in our colony, our birds are pair bonded and they stay together throughout the year. Our youngsters have subadult or juvenile plumage. They're a charcoal gray color, so they don't look like the adults do. I'm offering Ludwig palm fronds, but it doesn't look like anybody's interested. It is kind of early. It's usually the last week of March where they get really serious about their breeding season. But they're also really big migrators. They migrate about 1,000 to 3,000 miles a year. Up here we have Matson guarding his burrow or his territory with his mate Lily. We do have 23 Magellanic penguins here in our habitat. We can safely house 25. We are a part of AZA, or Association of Zoos and Aquariums, and that means that every 5 years they come and we have the option of getting our accreditation. So they came a few years ago and everything was A-okay, but there are certain standards to be able to house your animals in the proper way, meaning they have mental stimulation, physical exercise, and they are happy and healthy. So in this case, our exhibit, because of the size, can house 25 birds, and 13 of them did hatch here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, but they're also part of an SSP, or a species survival plan. So their genetics can be varied and brought to different, sorry, distracted by penguin bills in my face, by different genetics. So they might want certain birds to pair up with each other at different facilities around the country. So we don't necessarily get to keep all of the penguins that stay here at the aquarium. Good example of that is Admiral Fancy Pants. We actually traded him for one of our birds, Newsome, because Admiral brought us some different genetics than what Newsome had. Some of these birds actually did hatch at the San Francisco Zoo. It's the biggest population of Magellanic penguins in America. So we got some of their birds. We hatched our own, and 4 of them were actually rescued from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Wally, that's very rude. He's biting his sister in the butt. So those 4 birds were rescued from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, not typically where you find Magellanic penguins. We think that what happened was they got lost along the way, searching for food, and they became stranded and came on shore as soon as they could. They were deemed unreleasable, meaning they couldn't go back to their natural habitat, but the Aquarium of the Pacific was a perfect home for those Magellanic penguins. Wally, you're so rude. So these animals are definitely made for life in the water. They're an aquatic bird, but they do spend some of their time on land, especially when it's a breeding season. So they're just coming out of their yearly migration. Magellanic penguins are the biggest migrator out of any penguin species. They migrate about 1,000 to 3,000 miles a year. And then it's time for their settlement period, which is where we're at right now, right before their breeding season. And I was trying to offer our birds some nesting material, but it looks like it's a little too early for that. They're still establishing their settlement. So for example, if you take a look in this little area where the 2 rocks are on either side, that's Floyd and Roxy. They're the pair that's had 7 out of the 13 chicks. If Floyd wanted that nesting material, he would already be over here. But he's taken a nice snooze after he had his lunch. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of this nesting material around the exhibit. The birds might come and collect it, but definitely take advantage of this beautiful day in our June Keys penguin habitat. If you're just joining us, the 3 penguins that are up here, the charcoal gray colored birds, these are our subadult or juvenile penguins. They hatched this past May. And we're approaching our next breeding season. So all of our birds are finding their mates. And they're trying to build nests. But right now it looks like they're taking a little bit of a breather from that. Say hi. Say hi. Hi. right, so the youngsters are hanging around a lot. So I'm going to see if they are interested in an enrichment session. Enrichment is something that stimulates them mentally, physically, or helps them with their own health care. So I'm going to bring some bubbles out here and see what happens. Something fun for our birds and also for us. So give me just a second and I will see if they're interested in that. We'll do that for a few more minutes. So if you want to see penguins and bubbles, stay by the June Keys Penguin Habitat.